Dear colleagues, our research involves consideration of the problem of rational use of mineral resources and mining waste in the context of sustainable development of regions. Ukrainian enterprises generate up to 100 million tons of toxic waste every year, of which more than 3 million tons belong to first or third hazard classes. The total amount of toxic waste accumulation is 4.4 billion tons. In Ukraine, there is no plant for the processing of toxic industrial waste or landfills for their disposal. The conditions of waste storage and disposal do not meet sanitary and hygienic requirements and are one of the factors of intense pollution of atmospheric air, surface, groundwater and soil. It is also worth mentioning the illegal shipment of 25,000 tons of acid tars into Lviv region. The problem of their disposal has not been resolved by today. In the developed countries of the world, a considerable attention is paid to the issue of effective use of mining waste, and the level of their utilization is 65 to 80%. In Ukraine, this indicator is estimated to be only 10 to 12%. Therefore, we have accumulated unused reserves of secondary mineral raw materials. Rational use and protection of the subsoil is an integral part of rational nature management within the mining areas. Rational nature management should be understood not merely as the optimization of the process of intensive use of natural resources and their protection, but also as a system of measures covering the issues of environmental protection and control, reproduction and preservation of these resources, effective use of capital investments in mining enterprises, the distribution of the productive forces of the region. From the general issue of rational nature management in the region, one can single out the rational use of mineral resources. Equally important components of the latter are comprehensive development of mineral deposits, comprehensive use of mineral raw materials and mining waste, optimization of the structure of mining production and mineral raw materials consumption. The optimal use of mineral resources includes, on the one hand, the most detailed study of deposits at the stage of exploration, pre-exploration and exploitation, the choice of rational scheme for the most complete extraction of useful components during mining enrichment and processing, and on the other hand, requirements for the comprehensive use of mineral raw materials, the methods and means of extracting minerals, which are used in modern technologies, do not solve the issue of their complete extraction from the subsoil. The resulting losses sometimes exceed the volume of actual production. Particularly significant losses are recorded in the underground method of development. A quarry method, as a rule, can reduce the loss of raw materials by 3 to 8%. For the sustainable development of Ukraine, it is necessary not only to develop new reserves of natural raw materials, but also to develop technogenic mineral resources accumulated in more than 1,600 technogenic deposits and objects. Technogenic deposits contain non-ferrous, rare, noble, ferrous, metals, rare earth elements, non-ore constructions and energy raw materials, limestone and gypsum, etc. These components can be removed using the latest technologies. The simplest technological option remains the organization of waste disposal for the production of building materials. A list of construction materials, magnesium and sulfur containing fertilizers, limestone and gypsum meliorants can be compiled from mineral raw materials waste in Ukraine. It is also possible to additionally obtain coal fuel, ferrous, non-ferrous, rare metals and fluxes from industrial waste, which is important in conditions of acute shortage of raw materials. The development of technogenic deposits in Ukraine makes it possible to expand the mineral base of the mining industry by 15 to 20%. Up to 30% of overburden and host rocks removed from the subsoil, as well as waste from their enrichment, can be used for the production of building materials. The waste of primary processing of raw materials is various sand and sand-clay sludge. The volumes of this waste in the regions of Ukraine are measured in hundreds of millions of tons. For example, in Kryvbas area, reserves of sludge from the enrichment of iron ores exceed 1 billion tons. Waste from secondary processing of raw materials is accumulated in significant quantities at enterprises of various metallurgy enterprises, thermal power industry, chemical, petrochemical industries, etc. Often the content of mining waste in such elements as copper, cobalt, zinc, and others makes them suitable for the use in agriculture as agronomic ores. The density of accumulated waste in Ukraine is 6.5 times higher than in the US and 3.2 times higher than in the countries of the European Union. Every year more mining waste accumulates in Ukraine than in 12 European countries. Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk, Lugansk, Lviv, and Zaporizhia regions should be singled out. In the densely populated areas of Donbas, Krivbas, Prednepr, and Precarpathian regions, the level of technogenic load ranges from 3 to 30 million tons per kilometer square. Table 3 shows the volumes of technogenic waste accumulate within the main mining basins of Ukraine, which account for 79.2% of the total amount of waste. The problem of effective use of hydromineral raw materials is important. It is possible to extract industrial quantities of lithium, boron, germanium, etc. from underground mine waters. For example, the underground waters of Donbas contain from 0.152 to 0.355 of bromine, which exceeds the minimum industrial value of bromine by 20 to 60 times, germanium by 5 to 8 times, and lithium by 2 times. It is necessary to continue studying the distribution of useful elements and components in mine waters and developing technologies for their extraction. Radioactive waste burial grounds should also be considered as deposits of technogenic raw materials. With a higher level of technological development, they can serve as a source for the extraction and enrichment of radioactive elements. The main mass of disposed mining waste is used for backfilling spent quarry areas and mine sites, reclamation of disturbed lands. In the backfilling process, not only waste rock is used, but also industrial waste, which can be processed into useful products. However, the technical level of extraction and use of these wastes is insufficient to establish their rational use. In the main mining regions of Ukraine, there are thousands of technogenic mineral deposits that are preliminarily prepared for processing, which will significantly reduce the cost of their development. According to some estimates, with modern technologies, about 40% of industrial waste can be used to obtain useful raw materials, commercial coal, ore concentrates, cement, building materials, chemical meliorations, etc. The Geological Service of Ukraine registered 1,500 industrial waste accumulation sites. Among them, only 13 sites have the status of technogenic deposits. The rest are tentatively classified as potential deposits or technogenic manifestations. According to the amendments to the legislation in the field of waste management, the number of industrial technogenic deposits may reach 200 or 300. Effective use of technogenic mineral raw materials will ensure, first, reduction of cost for the search of new and exploration of exposed mineral deposits, second, preservation of non-renewable mineral raw materials, extension of the life of mining enterprises, third, production of additional volumes of cheap precious metals, non-metallic and construction materials, etc. Fourth, filling of mine and quarry mine sites, planning of post-mining landscapes, carrying out reclamation and revitalization. Fifth, reduction of anthropogenetic load on disturbed territories. Sixth, release and rational use of land occupied by mining waste storage facilities, elimination of source of pollution of the natural environment. Seventh, attraction of investments and improvements of equipment and raw material processing technology. The use of energy and resource-saving technologies in the mining sector will improve the environmental situation in Ukraine. The latest technologies are proved to be effective within a short period of time and ensure the maximum output of the final product per unit of raw mineral. The cost of commercial products from mining waste is 5 to 15 times lower than from ores extracted by traditional methods from natural mineral deposits. Solving the problems of rational use of mineral raw materials is also related to the development and implementation of waste-free technologies. Today, the envelopment of man-made waste in production process is restrained by the low economic capacity of the state. The accumulation of significant amounts of mining waste in Ukraine is a consequence of the irrational use of certain useful components. Under the condition of comprehensive use of mineral resources, the amount of waste will be reduced by 2 times. Such comprehensive use allows to increase the amount of obtained industrial raw materials and is of a great economic importance. The reform and development of the mining industry should be based on principles that meet modern economic and environmental requirements. The development of technogenic deposits in Ukraine would expand the resource base of mining and metallurgical, coal and mining chemical industries by 15 to 20%. Up to 30% of extracted overburden and associated rocks, as well as waste from their beneficiation, can be utilized for the production of various building materials. The comprehensive utilization of mineral resources can only be achieved through the development and implementation of advanced modern technologies in areas of exploration, extraction, enrichment, and processing of raw materials. In general, solving the problem of rational use of mineral resources as well as natural resources in general is related to the development and implementation of waste-free technologies. A geological assessment of waste as technogenic deposits is also necessary. Only after carrying out a complex of such assessment works should the issue of waste and methods of waste utilization in specific territories be addressed. Priority should be given to environmental protection measures accompanying current mining industrial production. The main factors that have influenced the economic development of Ukraine based on intensive and prolonged use of mineral resources include: first, gradual depletion of subsoil, second, the formation of an economy skewed towards heavy industries, and third, the accumulation of long-term negative ecological consequences. Further development of Ukraine's mineral and raw material complex requires urgent resolution of state-level problems that significantly hinder the expansion of the mineral and the raw material base, its ecological rehabilitation and rational use. The current system of subsoil use in Ukraine does not meet the requirements of modern market economics, and there are no unified requirements or rules for subsoil use and determination of payments for their use in economic theory. Although Ukraine's mineral and raw materials base has sufficient reserves of many types of valuable minerals, some of them are in the stage of depletion, which requires reform of the economic and ecological mechanism for using mineral resources. In strategic terms, it is important for Ukraine to determine the directions of movement in the field of geological exploration and subsoil use. Thanks for your